of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
At this point in time, it's all about getting the W, keeping the pressure on Man City. The rest of the league, everyone is quivering in their boots. We were 14 points behind City at the end of the year. Now look at us. We are very, very close indeed, but the job is not done yet. The grand reveal, here we are. Myself, your host for this one, Nick. I'm joined by Peter, the coach, Kafinas, to your right on screen, and down below in the middle is our Aussie Robbo, Jimmy Nicholson. Pete, good evening to you, first of all.
Good evening, Nicholas. How are you?
Very, very well. And good evening to you, Mr. James.
Very good evening to you, Nick. Very good evening, Pete.
Now, straight off the bat, boys, we do have to mention Mo Salah, unfortunately, will not be going to the World Cup because Senegal beat them 2-0, I think it was. Or no, it was 1-1, and they beat them on penalties. Beat them on penalties. Salah missed a penalty again, I believe. Is that correct? Is that correct to say?
Yeah, with the laser show.
That's right. It was the disco. It was the rave. That's right. And unfortunately, Senegal go through to the World Cup, and Egypt bow out. And some would say cryptically, Mo Salah mentioned something about it potentially being his last game for the national team. Something about it was a joy playing with you boys, or maybe he just meant in terms of like the lead up, making a final of the AFCON and then getting to the playoffs for the World Cup, perhaps. So, anyways, we just had to mention that there because I think all of us joked, oh, now we're going to see post AFCON Salah again, where it took him a couple of weeks to get into the groove of things. And
Watford, didn't we?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty fair to say. And Mane got himself. I think he didn't start this game. I think he was on the bench. I think because of the AFCON, yeah. So it's nice to see him get a rest, but just had to make that mention there. And to Chill, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us for this what should be famous last words, relatively quick stream. Not really much to talk about besides the one game, fellas. I'll go to you first, Peter. Watford at home, we beat them away, and coming to Anfield. Let's be real. They had a few chances themselves, and it could have been one of those very, very awkward days where we have an opportunity to put pressure on someone, and we buckle our chances, but we didn't. But what was your initial thoughts of the game?
For me, it was just one of those games. Lucky first game back after an international break. We're at home. Obviously, our home record is quite strong, and against someone like Watford, which for me is quite. I guess it's one of those games. It's good just to get the feet wet again before the month that is the month of April. That we've never seen a month like this in the history of football. So it's good that I guess our first game back was against the Watford at home. We saw some good performances. Thiago, I can't even describe him anymore as a footballer. I would just love to see all those people at the start who were bagging him out to come back and just apologize live.
Say sorry.
Just really apologize, because he really does play football on a different level to anybody. Joey Gomez, we've got to give him the credit there. He got his Trent-like assist nice and early. So for me, what can I say? There was just a professional 2-0 win.
It was a bit like a professional 2-0 win, because you expect that the opposition got a few chances, but he was always of the opinion that they're not going to score. I mean, Alisson had to make a one-on-one save. There were a few nearly chances. I think in that second half, I forget who it was. Someone had a chance, and it was from some poor giveaway or something in the midfield, and they had a chance, and he went wide of the post, and it could have literally been a banana skin of a match. But James, I'll ask you this question now. With that being said, being a 2-0 professional win, is this the blueprint going forward for the rest of the season? We're not going to see any 3, 4, 5-0 wins like we did against Leeds, and you can argue Leeds probably weren't the best team to come at us at that time there. But are 1-0 and 2-0 wins the bare minimum for the rest of this season, keeping in mind what's coming for us this weekend?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's not the blueprint but it is the expectation that this is the minimum that we'll be walking away with in the majority of our games. It was a professional win. I'd say the performance was a bit, I said to you boys before the show, I think it was a bit groggy at times. It is one of those matches you come back after the international break, you just need to break it in again and get comfortable in the boots, especially playing at home against Watford. Watford are onto their 14th manager of the season, so you don't know what can happen with Roy Hodgson coming in. He can be a bit cunning when he plays against us, but thankfully for us, it was a good enough performance. And it's those kind of performances when you are chasing titles, when you are chasing Champions League football, things like that. You need those kind of performances where you do walk away with the 3 points and with the confidence as well, because it can be a real slip up. The chance for Gil Pedro in the second half early on, where it just went wide of the post. And then the impressive save just before Jota got on the end of Joe Gomez's cross, the save from Alisson. Absolutely phenomenal save. And it's also having players like that who, whilst they may not be called upon quite often in the match, when they can bring stuff out like that when required, that's what helps to build the base to then ensure that we can get those 3 magical points.
Exactly right. I mean, Alisson's proven pivotal in a few matches already this season, saving us from maybe not defeat, but a clean sheet, which it could come down to goal difference come the end of the season. Again, we know what's happening this weekend. There will be a discussion at some point during the week about this. It's probably maybe built up as maybe the match of all matches over the last how many years. So we'll talk about that. But in this game, particularly in the context of this game here, because we played first out of everyone, it sort of let us do what we needed to do and not worry about what was going to come. Obviously, City ended up winning, and they're our main priority at the moment. But in terms of the priority, we do still have Champions League to come. And with that, we also have a couple of injuries at the moment. So as Pete was saying, Thiago coming back into the fold there, being pivotal in that midfield, he's very important. And with that, we were able to rest Fabinho and bring him on in the second half and ended up scoring the penalty to secure the 2 points and 3 points rather. And good penalty it was, because if he was anywhere comfortable in the midriff, it probably gets saved, but he's hit that top corner. Pete, you see this sort of stuff in training every day. What would you rate that penalty?
10 out of 10 because it went in.
So any penalty that goes in is a 10 now?
Yeah, for me it is. Yeah, because it counts.
It just needs to go in. It just needs to go in. But it's a good penalty. But with that, we started with Jota on the left, got himself a goal. Gomez with the assist, and you can see him telling him, like, I told you he was going to get an assist during that game. It was a great cross. It was almost like he's been watching Trent, put in crosses, across the goal line and inside dangerous areas. And it was a good little header. And of course, Jota scores with his head, because why would he score with any other part of his body? Firmino back into the starting 11. Salah after that semi-final for the World Cup qualification. The midfield of mentioned Thiago, Henderson and Jones coming into it. And obviously the big one there was Gomez at right back because of Trent Alexander-Arnold. And with Gomez with that assist, it's nice to see that we are still scoring goals from that right side of the pitch, and it's not Trent providing the deliveries. Obviously, Gomez is not going to be playing right back, that often, and we've always been suspect of him at right back because we just believe that's not his best position. But Peter, if we do need to rely on a Gomez at right back, it's not going to happen every week, but if he gets an assist here and there, does that sort of give you the belief that he will maybe gain confidence to maybe take on that right back role, or is he still predominantly that centre back?
Look, obviously I prefer him as centre back. I think because his attributes fit the centre back mold, but we don't know Trent's story at the moment in terms of how fit he is regarding the match this weekend. I think against Benfica we will see Gomez again. Obviously on Wednesday for us, but at the end of the day, if he has to play right back against City, then so be it. I think Gomez is a good footballer anyway. I think he's quick, he's strong. Obviously, he's clearly working on some form of crossing. He's a bit more safe than Trent, which could be a good thing as well against someone like City. I'm not too sure, but for me, if he has to play against City at right back, I'd rather have him there than Milner, to be honest with you right now.
James, do you disagree with anything he just said? He said just then.
Nah. Pete's hit the nail on the head. He mostly does that for these conversations. It's look. I'll be honest. I nearly messaged the group chat and said we can definitely tell there's a bit of an absence in Trent Alexander-Arnold not being on the pitch, and then literally about 30 seconds, he put the ball in and the ball was in the back of the net, and I thought, well, I'll just shut the fuck up then. So like, I can't argue against that. Look, I love Joe Gomez. I think he's a fantastic football player. I don't think he's a right back. He's a quality centre back, but he has the capabilities to do a competent job at right back, and he's proved that on the weekend. There were still some moments where maybe it's just a bit of confidence. Maybe it's just getting more adjusted to playing that position more consistently, because, of course, he is more used to playing in a centre back role. He probably spends most days in training preparing for that centre-back role, and that's absolutely fine, understandable, but probably has had a bit of more opportunity in recent weeks to prepare with Trent Alexander-Arnold being injured, international break, things like that. I think we need to really consider the option that Joe Gomez can start to transition and become that option at right back. Milner is not a right back, especially approaching 37 years old. Nico Williams is at Fulham, and still a lot of question marks as to after this season, is he going to be good enough to cut it at this level consistently? We hope so. We definitely hope so, but still a few question marks there. Joe Gomez, if he was to leave this club, I think would be a loss. And we seem to have a knack of losing players and then not replacing them, not getting in the support required to look after ourselves. If we can potentially turn Joe Gomez into a reliable right back backup, as well as someone who's challenging for a centre back position, I think we're in a good place. I would love to see him play against Benfica. I think that'd be really good for his confidence, most importantly, and then also give Trent Alexander-Arnold the time he needs to be ready to play against Manchester City.
Yeah, that City game is obviously pivotal. If you don't know, we are playing City this weekend, Sunday, Monday for us, and yes, we will discuss it because, as I said, it's probably the most pivotal match we've had in, I don't know, however, since Champions League final or something a couple of years ago. Who the hell knows? But in saying that, still, we do have to also reference a player that Pete mentioned just before, Thiago, because when he's on the pitch, he just bosses everything. Got himself a century of touches, long balls with almost pinpoint accuracy, getting through the midfield, getting stuck into the ground jewels as well, winning his individual battles. And it's nice to see him playing well and being subbed off, not through injury, but through preservation or through recovery, Peter, shall we say.
Well, Thiago?
Yes.
Yeah, look.
This is your time, baby. This is your time.
We've all seen that pass, right?
Yeah, just cuts through like hot knife and butter.
Yep.
I probably can't even say it on camera, but
it's getting flustered.
There were some things that happened to my body watching that.
You had a tingling sensation throughout.
Look, Thiago, for me, what can I try and say? Something that I haven't said yet. I'm trying to figure it out. He literally is like a conductor. With the ball at his feet, he almost can do whatever he wants. He makes other players look good or better, I should say. He keeps things ticking over. We've seen the assist to Jota against the Arsenal game. We saw that pass just recently against to Curtis against Watford. We've seen that he can play because everyone thinks he's this keep ball player, which for me, watch him please, because he's obviously not, because he can thread needles from almost anywhere on the pitch into almost any position. So I think someone like him against Manchester City this week is arguably the most important player on the park.
100%. We're going to need the midfield. The midfield is going to be a key in that game, which sort of like, well, just to wrap up the whole Watford discussion here before we move on to something that's happening a little bit closer in the future. A 2-0 win, as you said, professional. We got by. There were some shady moments. It's at Anfield. It's on a, 12 or 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday. And I think we need to mention as well, Klopp with his call to arms for the fans, asking for more noise. And it is almost in a way doing what Pep Guardiola did with the Man City fans, and he got absolutely rinsed for it, saying, please, we need all the fans to come. It's not that we need all the fans to come. We need all the fans who are there in the jam-packed Anfield to be making noise and supporting this team. And look, it's 12:30. I get it. Some people have woken up maybe a couple hours before that. They can't get into the mood and stuff like that. But you're watching your team play. They're rivaling arguably the greatest Premier League team in Premier League history, maybe overall in the whole 100+ years of English football. And you're telling me that you can't muster up enough of passion to just belt out some songs for like 90 minutes? Like, Jimmy, is that so hard to ask? I mean, you're a Scotsman, you know what it's like when it comes to like active support in your homeland. Like, why are the Liverpool fans so bloody quiet at Anfield?
That's a question I can't answer. I can only tell you that if I was there, the noise that would be coming out of me would be deadly to others. I think about the local games that I used to go to at the Division 1, Division 2 level in Scotland, when maybe 400, 500, 600 fans turn up, and we make more noise in that crowd at times than what you sometimes hear over the system listening on television at Anfield. I can't speak for it. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know why it is. Is it becoming more of a tourist attraction to go to games like this nowadays? Is that the kind of fans that are able to afford the tickets? Because whilst Liverpool have now frozen season tickets for the 7th year in a row, which is a fantastic thing to see, is it the majority of season ticket holders that are attending the games? Are tickets going elsewhere? Is it more corporate? Is it this, that, the next thing, hospitality packages? I don't know. We've obviously expanded the main stand. We're about to expand Annie Road as well. So hopefully that generates more opportunities for tickets to go to those fans who, I guess, like us three and the rest of the boys and everyone else watching at home and things like that, who do have a decent chance to be able to get to a match. I haven't been able to get to a game in 2014. I've been back to the UK a couple of times, but it's to get a ticket is you're trying to get blood from a stone in some instances. It's not easy. So I ask the question is it fans like us who want to go to the game, scream the songs, shout at every decision that's made, and just belt things out for 90+ minutes? Are those the fans that are getting the tickets, or is it those who are getting the it's part of their tourist experience? That's what I wonder. Maybe it's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but that's just what I think. Yeah,
I was about to say it's going to start World War III.
Yeah,
mate. Hey, we're spitting facts here. Nothing but fire, man. We're bringing the facts. There's facts to the truth of the argument. Because Pete, I think you've been harping on this all season, and I don't disagree with you. We need noise at Anfield. Like, we don't want to be known as the club who belt out an emotional, powerful "You Never Walk Alone" before kickoff, and then it's like quiet and you can hear the balls being kicked on the pitch. We don't want to be that team. We want to be the team that makes noise. We do see it, but only on European nights. And when someone like City or United come to town, when it's a Watford 12:30 on a Saturday, you're like, whatever. I'd rather just eat my hot chips and have my warm beer or whatever, and I'll just watch the Reds kick a ball around. Like, we want that. We want that drive, man.
Look, at the end of the day, if Jurgen Klopp keeps asking for it, it must be the same over there. Like, this isn't the first time he's asked before a game. So yeah. I don't know what it is there. I don't know what the answer is to all that. For me, all I know is that at least the away end this weekend is going to be unreal, because they've been unreal all season. I think they're going to absolutely drown that empty head completely red. It will be unreal to listen to. I can't actually. I mean, for us over here, 1:30 in the morning.
Prime.
It's not ideal, huh?
It's not ideal, especially on a Sunday night / Saturday, Monday morning. That's the hardest bit, because
if we're getting up, making up some noise,
sleep.
You fucking go there and make some noise. Like, it's simple as that. But that's the
save it. If you've been saving it.
On your point, though, Peter, like, I have to admit as well, the away fans all season and recent seasons have been the best bunch of fans at the games. They completely wipe out whoever else is that we're playing. I'm thinking back, the Arsenal game, after Bobby Firmino scored his second, like the noise was just unbelievable.
Limbs were thrown, man.
Like, faces were getting grabbed. It was just full on, but that's what it should be all about, right? It was absolutely phenomenal, absolutely brilliant, and credit to the away fans. They are consistently phenomenal. But I mean, how many away fans managed to get to a game in comparison to what we expect at a home game? Those away fans are probably at the home games and they're probably making the noise, but they're up against another 45, 50,000 people potentially who are sitting there not making the noise and sitting there on their iPhones taking in the atmosphere. I go, oh, this is fantastic. You'll never walk alone. Yeah, I did it. It's bullshit. Like,
Should be a no phone
honestly.
policy at games.
Yeah, like
Should be a
seriously,
no phone policy in many places around the world, but hey, who am I?
That's
And how
another
would
topic.
we start our OnlyFans account here?
Exactly.
I'm not talking about
Tune
that. I'm
in
talking about
8:30 for my
nightclubs.
next show.
Talking about nightclubs and shit. I'm sick of people having their phone in my face while I'm trying to play music, and it's like, can you just enjoy the moment and stop recording stuff that no one actually gives a crap about? But
So,
anyways, enough harking up
sorry,
about that.
Nick. Can you play a song? It's my pal's birthday.
I don't care if it's your birthday or your dog's birthday or whatever. I am not playing it. Please be gone. Anyways, that was the Anfield noise with the Watford and all that sort of stuff there. Now we move on to the month of all months, because this is going to be absolutely wild. And I bring on screen now the month of all months. Look at that, boys. That is an April to behold. As you look in here, we've already done the 2nd of April with 2-0. Coming up next, we've got Benfica on the 5th away. Then we've got the big one, Man City away on the 10th. 3 days later, the return leg against Benfica at home. Then we've got another meeting with Man City, the semi-final in the Emirates FA Cup at Wembley on the 16th. And again, 3 days later, United on the 19th. Some 5 days later, or 4 days, depending on how you see the numeric numbers there. Obviously, Everton at home, they're in a whole bunch of shit. So that, I don't know, some would say like whatever there. And then the home leg either between Bayern Munich or Valencia, depending on who wins there, provided we make our progression through the group stages, and then Newcastle away on the 30th of April. So a jam-packed April. That is what is in store for us. We're going to need the players we have coming to form. Diaz has been fantastic. Mane should be back to buzzing best. Salah still has a point to prove. Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson, Jones, Trent, Jota, Firmino, all these sorts of things need to really be Villarreal, sorry, not Valencia. That damn logo always throws me off because it's got the V in there, and I only know of one bloody team in Spain, the V. So there is still a lot of football to be played, but first and foremost, what we've got is Benfica. And Benfica, first of all, Peter, we're going back to Portugal because we've always had fun against Porto. And Diaz said, I've had enough of Liverpool absolutely smacking us home and away, so I'm just going to go join them instead. And you probably say Diaz will probably start in this game against Benfica because he's probably got some sort of know-how knowledge about how they play and some history with them as well.
Look, I've got this weird hate for Benfica. Like,
why?
It's because of Glenn Johnson more so than anyone else. But if you remember, we played Benfica years
Europa
ago
League
in the group stages and stuff like that. And
yep,
look, I was always a big fan of Simao. We were linked with him for 10 years as well, but we don't want to pay an extra $2, so we never got him.
I remember that.
But I've just got this hate for Benfica because of that little. Look, I know it was Glenn Johnson. I think he was scored the own goal that kind of crashed us out of the tie. But I've hated them ever since, and I've hated Glenn Johnson even more ever since.
So you've had it in for Glenn Johnson because of that own goal against Benfica, and subsequently, as a result of that, you also hate Benfica as well.
100%. And I know it doesn't make sense, but in my head it does.
All right. Well, we're playing Benfica in any case in the away leg on was it a Tuesday night, Wednesday morning for us, and you argue that it will have a bit of a change up in the starting 11. As mentioned, Diaz, you're probably thinking will start. Mane maybe comes back into it. Maybe you keep Salah on. Maybe you play Jota instead. The midfield maybe has a rejig. But Jimmy, I want to ask you first and foremost before I get to Peter now, with Benfica coming along, obviously we want to get the job done and dusted while we are away from home. But as we've seen, there are no more away goals rules, so we can't afford to concede away. So are you expecting... So this is the tricky bit. What do we want more? Do we want to bury this game now, this knockout stage game, or do we want to maybe play a little bit cautiously, go hard against City, win there, and then come back to Anfield and then win the tie there, which is what sort of has happened in the past.
We've got the quality of depth to go there and get a strong result, in my opinion. With the depth that we have now, especially with bringing Luis Diaz in up top, we can make almost wholesale changes and still have a top quality lineup. Midfield again, a couple of rotations here and there. Playing Curtis Jones on the weekend was probably a masterstroke, actually. May not have had the best of games, only played 60 minutes. Probably okay for him to come back in. Thiago can probably rest up. You can bring back in Navigator if he's still not got a paper cut. Harvey Elliott, now that he's celebrated his birthday and whatever else he's getting up to, and rinsing players that will not be mentioned on this podcast for legal reasons. So we can make almost wholesale changes to an extent, and we should be able to go there and be able to not walk it. That's a bit disrespectful to Benfica, as much as I hate them as much as Peter does. But we should be able to go there and do a good job. We went up against Porto and we absolutely smashed them. And I think Porto are about 12 points clear of them in the league. And Luis Diaz already played against them once. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, remember looking back at Benfica's group, they actually, on paper, had a bit of a difficult group, but it was the Barcelona that we knew at the start of this season, which wasn't quite the Barcelona that we used to know. So, they've sort of found their way into the quarterfinals. Fair play and respect to them for that. I'm sure it'll still be a tasty encounter, but we should have enough quality to be able to rest top quality players and still go there expecting a good victory, and then making the return at Anfield more of a formality than anything else. If we go there and we don't walk away with a win, or if we get out there by the skin of our teeth, it's not because Benfica have done a masterstroke, it's because we've let ourselves down.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. It pretty much is sort of like nailed on for us to take the win here, or at least not lose the game. But then again, if you don't lose, then you take it back to Anfield, and then it's only 3 days after the Man City game. So what do you do then? If you need the result, then you're playing your best 11 against City. What do you do for the return leg at home? This is why I'm not a manager, because screw having that headache to try and pick and choose and try and make do of what a mess it could be. But if everyone is back fit and firing, Trent, you probably say, even if he is fit, I doubt Klopp will risk him against Benfica, like Pete said.
Maybe he'll come on with 20 to go or whatever.
Yeah. I think it just to get a bit of a run on, stretch the legs a little bit, and then go hard out against City on the weekend. But Peter, as we said, we have a massive month ahead of us and big fixtures as well. It's the quadruple is still on. Let's not get it twisted, but we're a little bit. We're humbled. We're a little bit, down to earth. We know it's a possibility, but the odds are maybe not in our favor, let's just say. But still, Benfica, City, Benfica again, City in the FA Cup. Then we've got United, who are in all sorts. Then we've got Everton, who are almost relegated. And then we have a potentially a first leg in the what's it going to be then? Semis or quarters? I forget. Semis. Against Bayern or Villarreal. So it's a massive April, man. Pete, can we do it? I want to know. Can we do it, Pete? Can we just get through this month?
April?
Yes. Yes. That's what I want to know.
I think the team can. I don't know about the fans.
Nah. I'm dreading it.
That's the thing.
Honest to God, I obviously, I think the team can definitely get through the month. Whether they get through the way we want them to or not, who knows? But I'm more worried about the fans. I think there's going to be a few chest pains.
Yeah, I'm going to have to review my health insurance.
I'm going to have to start, checking my my heart rate on the smartwatch. If it goes above 80, we need to watch it, man, because this will mean nothing to Jimmy. But Pete, there was a couple of years ago where the Wanderers were playing Sydney FC in a derby, and Santalab scored in the first half, and it was like 1-0 throughout the whole game, and we were just absolutely getting smashed in that second half. Shots at goal, nothing. I shit you not. I probably still have the screenshot. My heart rate was 151 BPM by the night. I am not bullshitting you. I had to sit down because I honestly thought my heart was going to pop out my chest. That's how it was bad. It was so bad. And don't want that again when it comes to this. Like, imagine it's like, I don't want to do too much to say like this is what's going to happen, but imagine it's 1-0, we're leading away to City, and then there's a 1-on-1 chance and Alisson pulls off a save and we win that game 1-0. Like, imagine your heart when whoever is running through and has that chance and you don't know what's happening. Like, can you just imagine the amount of 911 calls or 000 calls or whatever the
This
number is
is
overseas
this is
that
why
will
I
happen?
meditate.
Oh man, that's what I'm not looking forward to. I do
I
not
can
want to
already,
experience that again. That would
I
be
can already
just
feel
bad.
it.
But the month of all months, I'll go to you first, Pete. Then Benfica. What happens at Benfica?
Look, we're going to probably go at them 100 miles an hour because we probably do need to scratch it up a little bit after that Watford performance. To be fair, I think we need to up it just a little bit, and I think we will go to Portugal full strength. Look, for me, I know this get probably mixed reviews when people hear this, but for me, it's like we actually don't need to start Salah. Like, we don't need to overplay Salah because we saw it when he came back from the AFCON. He wasn't the same, and we forced him to play. We just kept playing him, even though he's like, I want to play, whatever. And we're like, play, injury scare.
Mm,
And let's face it, since he had come back from the AFCON, he hadn't been the Salah before he left. It was almost like one left us and a different one came back. And I
Yep.
don't want to see the same thing because, yeah, okay, he's got the heartbreak now with Egypt and the lasers and all that kind of stuff. For me, with that penalty, if he went either side, it goes in. Like, why are you kicking it down the middle? So there's that. So I'm not going to sit there and blame the lasers all the time. I think you've got to look at your decision to kick down the middle.
Mhm.
But the other one to all that is, look, between Diaz, as you mentioned, Mane, who's had a bit of a break, Firmino, Jota, Origi, like there's enough there to give Salah one game rest, build up your confidence, like not build up confidence, but get your body right again, get your head right again, and all eyes on City for the 90 minutes, and not to mention the next game against Benfica, then City again, and then everyone again and again and again. So I'm not saying let's rotate Salah. What I'm trying to say is for the Benfica game, the one in a couple of days' time, it wouldn't hurt resting Salah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think he definitely needs it. I mean, even coming back after playing again extra time against Senegal, going to penalties. Arguably, you could have rested him in that game and played someone else. But now what's happened has happened. Now we got through that one there. Mr. Jimmy Nicholson, what is going to happen at right back? Is Gomez going to continue at right back there against Benfica, or is your namesake going to step in and arguably try not to give away any silly free kicks or try get run around?
I hope not. I really would like to see Joe Gomez continue at right back. I think it's. I said it before. He's not a right back at the moment, but he can be. He can be a competent option at that position. If he gets the game time, if he gets the opportunity, then that's great for his confidence. It's probably great actually for the team's confidence. It's good for our confidence as well as fans. I mean, we've got enough to worry about during the month of April. If we can at least not have to worry about the right back position, then that's something taken care of. He's got the ability. He's got the ability. He now just needs to formulate it so it's a consistent output for that position. It's as simple as that. He needs to be able to hone that ability to be defensively minded as well as knowing when to press offensively, being able to execute a ball into the box. Because when he's put some crosses, and he's putting some fantastic crosses, I remember. Maybe even up to a year and a half, 2 years ago, when he did fill in at right back a couple of times, and every time he'd done a cross, it went into Rosette. So he's clearly worked on that, which is fantastic. The only concern about Trent not playing is dead ball specialists, because Jordan Henderson and Andy Robertson were a mixed bag of shit on the weekend. That to me was the biggest gap that we had in missing Trent Alexander-Arnold. Joe Gomez was able to fill a void for the majority of the game, and that's great. But someone to deliver something from a dead ball, the only thing I can think of is if we play Tsimikas, because I think he's absolutely fantastic from a dead ball. And I would like to see what he could do from wide positions crossing the ball in.
It's potential there. I mean, if you're going to rest Robertson and play him, or try and play him as an inverted, left wing on the right, or whatever the hell that is, whatever. I don't know. I'm just making up words right now. But I think we are going to see some changes. I do think City is the big one there, and we are endeavoring, and I do use the word endeavoring, to discuss the result post Benfica in a lead up to the Man City game Granted, it's going to be midweek, so there will still be some days until that game actually happens. Some, 4 days or so, 5 days maybe until that game actually takes hold. But it'll give us something to think about once this Benfica game is done and dusted, and then we'll be able to see what the team will most likely look like, what we could probably look towards, and things like that. And of course, with City as well, because they're also chasing their Champions League, and we'll be chasing number 7. They'll be chasing number 1. Provided we all get through our knockout rounds. But gentlemen, I think that will wrap things up for this nice, brief, concise show. Everything wrapped up in a neat little package. I'll just ask for a score prediction first, Pete, from you for against Benfica.
Yeah, all right. Let's go 2-0 again.
2-0 for us. James?
Yeah, look, 3-0 is definitely something that we can walk away with. I think the most important thing, like we say, is that is a win and a clean sheet. But if I have to put a number on it, we'll take 3 and zip.
I'm going to say maybe 2-0 as well. I mean, Benfica did lose against Braga, and they somehow made it through against Ajax. And then, of course, the Barcelona. But the Barcelona they played was not the Barcelona of current, was the Barcelona of last year. Or some months ago now, which they are changed. But yeah, I'm going to get 2-0, and I'll stick by that. Granted, it will completely turn to shit, and it won't be anything like we expected, and we'll be ranting and raving like lunatics. But let's hope that we are discussing a win against Benfica, or at least at worst, not a loss, and then look forward towards. What do you have against Man City on the weekend? So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Wait,
of
Nick,
course,
sorry, I forgot there's a
Yes,
comment
sir.
in here that we've got to spend maybe 45 seconds on.
Go for it, sir. That's not happening.
He clearly hasn't been watching Australia play football, mate.
That's not happening. That is not happening.
Better
Pete,
chance of
you're-
Scotland getting through.
Pete, you're actually employed by some sort of governance within Australian football. What's your assessment?
It's going to be difficult, but they can still do it.
Yeah, they can. The question is, will they?
That's
Look,
the
UAE,
thing,
they're going to play UAE next.
Yep.
Well, going to be difficult, especially because it's going to be, I think, somewhere over there. When we don't have the best record, I think, in the UAE. So that's going to be as hard as it is. And then after that, it's Peru. So
I was
look,
about to say, yeah.
yeah. But the Aussie fighting spirit that made us famous, let's see if it still exists. Because, yeah.
It's all right, mate. Fornaroli, the Uruguayan who's 35 years old, who hasn't played for a decade for Uruguay, who's now an Australian, he'll score us some goals. So fingers crossed. If not him, then who at the moment? But yeah, I don't think so. Pete's still got some hope. James, yourself?
It's fake hope.
I gave up on this Australian team a long time ago. The Scottish team of Scotland have got the Ukraine in June. That game also got moved for reasons which everyone understands and appreciates. The winner of that game will play Wales, and whoever wins in that game will then qualify for the World Cup. And if Scotland miraculously shithouse their way through, which they've done it before, Euro 2020 being a great example, they'll be in a group alongside England, which will be very tasty because we also played against them in Euro 2020 at Wembley, and it was quite possibly the shittest game of football I have
I remember that. I watched that game.
Oh, my God.
I was so disappointed. I'm expecting fights and brawls. There's nothing. Nothing.
I had a mate come down from the country. He's a Liverpool fan. He's English. So he came down for the weekend. We watched the game, and we both just sat there and we've just wasted our entire weekend for this one bullshit game. But never mind. That's all right. These things happen. Hopefully, if Scotland get through next time, it might be a bit better. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, fingers crossed for you for Scotland. Fingers crossed for Australia. For you, Pete, I suppose you still have some hope in you. I just whatever. Well, hey, we'll just leave it there. Otherwise, this will be another hour-long stream, so we'll leave it there. But thank you for joining me, fellas, and thank you to all who watched. And, of course, you can follow us on socials at Red Sea Down Under and at the Red Sea Podcast or the Red Sea Pod, as you can see, they're scrolling on the bottom of the screen there. And as we play the outro for the show, you have yourselves a good week, and fingers crossed against Benfica. Ciao.